Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. And in today's video I have my pile of eyeshadow palettes that I've been focusing on in the spring season. And today we're gonna recap how much I've used them and kind of what happened with them since the last time that I showed them to you. I don't think I filmed like any close-ups of them 3 months ago, which now I'm kind of realizing that maybe I should start doing that for the other seasons so that you can see even like if anything changed about them. But yeah, I have them all in front of me. It was my top 10 palettes and I'm gonna share with you how much I've used them and if my opinions changed about them. So let's jump right into it. And in case you're new here, hi, my name's Sasha. I love indie makeup, I love colorful makeup, I love eyeshadows, I love everything colorful and fun. And this is exactly what this video is gonna be about. So I'm gonna start in the order that I mentioned them in the previous video, which is from the number 10 to number 1. And on the 10th spot, I had the Sweet as Can Be palette by Colourpop, which is the Winnie the Pooh collaboration that they've had. I don't know, I think maybe it's like 3 years ago. It's definitely been a while. And this is how it looks like. It's a gorgeous little tiny palette. It has a little quote here as well. And this one, we went from 46 uses to 51 uses. So if you use this one 5 times, it's a cute little palette. It's definitely not a palette that I like reach for a lot, especially because the formula is getting kind of older and it's never been like my favorite formula. I do like a couple of these shades, like the vibrant yellow, then this matte shade over here is really nice. This one is also really nice, and then from the shimmers I really do like this one as a highlighter on the face. The same for this one, but they're kind of like more soft, like very soft formula. It's not really sparkly, it's not really metallic, it doesn't really show up too much. Sometimes I can't even recognize on the eyes if it's like a matte or shimmer shadow, which happens a lot with Colourpop's formula. Like they don't really have a sparkly formula, and that's kind of what I'm into. But yeah, I've used it 5 times and I still like the shades that I've always liked. It's just the ones that I've never been too insanely obsessed with. I haven't noticed any improvement in them, so you know, it's kind of the same. Then we have the Mio makeup palette, which is called the Foxtail palette. It's a beautiful kind of like fairy tale inspired palette, which was a collaboration palette. And when I rolled it in, it had 16 uses. It currently has 27 uses, and as you can see, there are some changes. I think this pen is new because I think I made this collection before I rolled this in my Pendos eyeshadow. So this was in my Pendos eyeshadows, and then this shade I had, there was a glitter originally, and then in the beginning of the year I repressed here one of my Woodens eye shades from the Christmas Eve palette. It was called Snowlight, I believe, and recently I was able to completely use that one up because there was like very little of that product. But apart from that, I've used the shade Crystal a lot to use this with my Franken eyeshadow that I'm using as a blush to kind of dial it down, and I sometimes used Leo and the Witch, these two together, to create a brow shade. Otherwise, I don't even know if I've used any of the other shades. Maybe I've used like one of the blues, but otherwise I haven't really touched this palette. It was just very targeted towards certain shades. But yeah, I was able to use this 11 times, as I said, 16 to 27. So I think that's a really nice amount of uses, even though it was very specific to a couple of the shades. Then number 8 was the Laguna palette by Glamshop. This is how it looks like. It's a 9-pan palette, and this one we went from 9 uses to 24 uses, and that's because it was my project 20 uses palette, or one of them. So yeah, I was able to hit my goal of 20 uses. And mostly I would use the shade Coral of it, which is a beautiful shade. I would use this not just in the inner corner, but also as a highlighter on the face. The same goes for Reiki, and the same goes for this shade, which is called Worship Life, which kind of shattered for me after multiple uses because it fell on the ground and I wasn't able to recover any of that shade. Apart from that, I used Atoll like once or twice, then Rafa I think once, and one of these darker greens maybe once. I'm not sure if I've used anything else from this palette, so I mainly focus on the 3 shades at the top, but they are wonderful. And as I said, from 9 uses to 24, so I was able to use it 15 times, which I'd say is like a really nice score. Then number 7 is the Beauty Bay Mini Charms palette, which is this all shimmer 9-pan palette. We started at 10 uses and we're currently at 32 uses, so I was able to use it 22 times, and that's because A, it's my Panda palette, or one of them. B, I would really I would use this a lot as a face highlighter or a topper on top of my on top of other shimmers that I've had on my eyes. And then this shade rolled in my Pendos eyeshadows. I think it was in the first or second month of my Pendos eyeshadows. And then this one is my latest Pendos eyeshadows that I've been able to hit. And also lately I've been using this shade down here a lot. This one is Pluto, and it's frankened with the shade that was in the Mio palette, which is called Snowlight. So I've been using that a lot as a face highlighter because there's not that much of the eyeshadow left, and it works wonderfully. It's like kind of like a warm goldy highlighter, so why not? So yeah, this one 22 uses, and I'm very happy with how it looks like and how it performs. And it's like a very easy palette to reach for and to use on a daily basis. Then number 6 is the Hella palette by Uden's Eye. This one is a collaboration with Angelica Nyquist, and this one I think it came out at the same time as the Winnie the Pooh palette, or like it was very similar time frame, if I remember that correctly. So this is how she looks like. She's absolutely gorgeous. It's a green and pink palette. And this one we went from 61 uses to 65 uses. It's not my most used palette at this point because I love this palette for the greens, but I've been panning so much greens from either my Pendos eyeshadows or Panda palette. So, you know, this one just kind of didn't really get the uses that I would want to get on this, but still 4 uses, and I was able to hit a pan in the shade Double-Sided, which is my most favorite shade, not just from this palette, but like one of my most favorite shades from Uden's Eye altogether. So yeah, like this one and also this one here, like those are definitely like my top 5 from Uden's Eye, and they're very highly ranked, even like all throughout my collection. If I would have to like really pick top 10 eyeshadows from my collection, they would still get there. So yeah, this one is gorgeous. I just, you know, it's because of the fact that I have similar shades that I'm currently trying to use up and hit pan on that I've been like really focusing on. The number 5 is the Avatar The Last Airbender Earth palette from Little Cosmetics. This is a collection that they've released, I think it was summer last year, if I remember that correctly. Yeah, I was reviewing it in August, I believe. So it's a beautiful green earthy palette. The quality of this is just absolutely out of this world. We went from 4 uses to 12 uses, so I was only able to use it 8 times. But again, like I had so many similar shades in my Pendos eyeshadows and Panda palette, or those palettes, that it's just, you know, I haven't used it as much as I would want to, but it's in my Project 20 uses. So yeah, currently 8 uses. I hope I'm gonna get to 10 uses before I'm gonna update my Project 20 uses. And then I hope I'm gonna focus on this one once I'll get rid of the shades that I'm currently panning and using up, which would be really soon. So yeah, I'm just gonna go from one green to another green. But this one is a gorgeous, gorgeous palette, and I think I'm gonna use it a lot with the Air palette that I kind of want to focus on in summer. So that's this one, and as I said, used it 8 times and was very happy about that. Then number 4. Number 4 is the Wouldn't I Salmon 2 palette, which is one of my Pendos palettes for this year. And I think you can even see that from the way it looks like, because it has a lot of bands. We started at 74 uses and we're currently at 88 uses, so I was able to use it 14 times. And I think the bands that I was able to make since then is the shade Dream, this one, Neptune, this one, and I think the Meteor also wasn't there originally. So yeah, 3 bands since the last time you saw this palette, and it's getting quite a good use, which just obviously makes me very happy. So that's for the Salmona 2 palette. Then we have the Unearthly Spring Magic palette. So this is how it looks like. This is a gorgeous palette. It was given to me last year from a friend, and because she didn't really need this one, so she decided to give it to me, and it is just so extremely, extremely pretty. So this is how it looks like. I haven't used it as much as I would want to, and majority of the times I was using it either for the white one, because this is genuinely, I think it's my best white matte in my entire collection. Like, it is gorgeous. And then I would use these 2 pinks as a face highlighter and these 2 pinks as a face blush. Yeah, so I mainly like used these shades, and then maybe I dabbled into some of the colorful ones, but I haven't really like fully played with the entire palette in the spring, which makes me really kind of annoyed. But I think I'm gonna play with this palette at some capacity in the summer as well. By the time you're watching this, I should have posted my summer BYOP, and I'm kind of, at the moment, because I haven't filmed it yet, but I will in a minute, I'm kind of thinking about using some of my unearthly shades, because they are magnetic, to create a summer BYOP. So it will get used at some capacity in the summer as well. But this one, we went from 23 uses to 30 uses, so I've used it 7 times, and I'm quite happy with that. Like, at least something. You know, I've been focusing so much on my Pendos palettes and Pendos eyeshadows and other new products, so this was just kind of again, like, I just didn't have the capacity to focus on it. Then my Cosmic Brushes Delicious Delights palette, which is a gorgeous palette. I love this palette. It is a perfect springy palette. This one we went from 33 uses to 64 uses, and that's because it was my palette crush of the month. It was my first palette crush of the month, which is a project that I created myself, and I will link it down below in case you want to check it out. So yeah, so I was able to use it every single day for a month, and my most used shades were the pink and orange, because I would mix them with the Mio beigey shade to create a blush. Then I used this one as a highlighter a lot. I would sometimes use the blue with the shade Gingerbread to create a brow shade. And I used the pink shimmer a lot, and also the white. Like, I don't know if I like this white more than the Unearthly. Like, I think I like them both the same, and they're literally like the best white mattes I've ever been able to try in my life. And I was able to hit 1 pan in the shade Frosting, so I find that to be like a really successful month of use. And yeah, 31 uses on this baby. And it's just like a perfect companion palette that I enjoy so much, and I love pulling it from my collection. So that's that one. And then I have my Spring BYOP that I created. I store it in this Legend of Korra palette from Colourpop, because it is a magnetic palette, and a lot of the shades, well, 1, 2, 3. No, I'm not sure. At least 2 shades are from the original Legend of Korra, and there are a couple shades that I kind of swapped with the original Legend of Korra shades a while back, and I'm using that in this palette. So yeah, so this is how it looks like. I still love this color story. Like, I would have no problem keeping the color story like it is and keeping this palette, and maybe eventually I might go back to this because I just think that's a perfect color story. I've created so many wonderful looks. Some of them I filmed and are on my Instagram, and some of them I haven't filmed, but I enjoy them nonetheless. And yeah, it is just such a pretty color story. Like, I don't want to like pat my own shoulders, but I've had so much fun with this one, and I wish I had this palette like from a brand, like an actual palette, because I would definitely spend my money on that. Like, it is just exactly what I want to use in the spring, and I'm just happy that I was able to create something that actually worked for me. Obviously, it had 0 uses in the beginning because, you know, it was brand new, BYOP, and now it has 24 uses. So I've been able to use it 24 times. I was able to hit pan on the shade Star Sign from Terra Moons, then Charon from Terra Moons. This is Millenario. Yeah, Millenario by Mika Beauty Shop. And this one, which is a Franken shade of the shade Neverland from the Tinkerbell palette by Colourpop, and my Snowflake from, yeah, Snowflake from the Christmas Eve by Odin's Eye. And I was able to hit a pan on this one, and it's almost used up. That is because it was in my Pendos eyeshadows, and it currently still is. So in a week's time, when I'm updating my Pendos eyeshadows, maybe this eyeshadow will no longer exist. Who knows? I'm gonna really try for that. But yeah, like 4 pans, 1 shade almost used up. I think that's like incredibly great progress on this. And I've used a lot of the shades, especially that yellow and that blue, like the matte shades. You can barely see the original imprint, which this is the shade Airbending and this is the shade Waterbending. Sorry, this is the shade Waterbending from the original Legend of Korra. And yeah, you can't see the symbols there anymore. Maybe slightly in the shade Airbending, but I've definitely used it a lot and abused it and had fun with it, and it just makes me happy that I was able to create something that I actually enjoyed. So yeah, 24 uses on that one. And if I count down all the uses of each palette, if I count it correctly, it means that in total I've used all of these palettes 140 times in the span of 3 months. Obviously, the way that I count uses is every single look that I create with that palette is 1 use, and it doesn't matter if I use 2 palettes for a look. If I use 2 palettes for a look, then both of the palettes will get 1 more use of that palette, if that makes sense. And a lot of the times I don't use just 1 palette. Like when I was using the Delicious Delights as my palette crush of the month, obviously, like, I would get really bored if I would have to only use that palette every single day of the month. So it would be a companion palette. The same for the like mini charms, also companion palette, because I can't create a full look with a 9-pan shimmer topper palette. So yeah, that one, as I said, like for example the Mayo, I used it a lot for like brows and stuff like that. Some of these were used a lot as highlighters and blushes, because that's how I used my eyeshadows a lot of the times. To like, since I already waste so much money, well, waste, like, you know, spend so much money on eyeshadows, I better use them everywhere. So yeah, so that, and 140s, I don't think there has ever been a season where I've had that much overall uses. I think the most I ever gotten was like around 100, so this is just insane. The palette crush of the month definitely helped, and the fact that one of them was actually in this collection, and definitely the fact that some of these are my Pendos palettes or Pendos eyeshadows, and also the fact that I actually really loved the spring BYOP. But that's kind of everything for this video. The summer BYOP should already be up, and I hope even my summer like top 10 summer palettes. So if they both are up, I will link it down below and in that little card here, one of those. I never remember which side it is on. So I will link those down below. And in case you're interested in this look that I'm wearing, it's my last look in my review of the DD Signature Drops of Fantasy. So if you want to see that, I will also link it down below or put it in that little card so that you can check it out. But that is everything for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know which palettes were you using the most during spring and what were like your favorite color stories. And with that being said, I'm just gonna love you and leave you and have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll see you tomorrow with another look. So, bye!